I guess.
All right. You've got the voice of a podcaster for sure. You said you're doing one, right?
We do a couple. Yeah, we have two.
Nice. So we're live. Bobby, nice to connect. How are you today?
Good, Sonny. I mean, kind of. I mean, my wrist is killing me from the
Yeah,
snow.
you were saying, what's up with that? You were shoveling, got
Yeah,
hurt.
it's horrible. My back, my wrist. I definitely have terrible form. We also got
I
like 20 inches, so half of this is the snow's fault, not me.
I would like to think I have cat-like reflexes. I think I still kind of sort of do, but um yeah, no, I still got it. I still got
Time
it.
takes us all.
Yeah, but falling is becoming more of a threat. So, Bobby, tell me a little bit about. I guess first, let's talk a little bit about Mean Pug. Maybe just like a sentence or two, and then we'll come back to it, kind of at the end of the story. That's how I like to do it. But give people a bit of a teaser in terms of what you guys are working on.
For sure. Mean Pug is loyal marketing for ambitious law firms. All we do is help lawyers, and we are full service. And when I say full, I mean we do everything from the digital side, including branding, web design and development, PPC, SEO, social media, video production, you name it, we do it. We also bridge the gap into the offline side where we're doing TV, radio, OOH, OTT, kind of the full gamut of offline media.
Interesting. Cool. Okay, so I definitely have a lot of questions, but let's like I said, maybe come back to that in a little bit. So take me back before Mean Pug, before Morgan and Morgan, growing up. You know, what were you like as a kid? Were you tinkering with computers, or did your path to tech, come way after?
Hmm. Well, I did teach like a summer seminar type of thing in my senior year to underprivileged youth, where we were basically tearing apart computers and putting them back together, buying components, how to pick out the motherboard for the processor and kind of do all that stuff. Not software, but hardware. Um, I got kicked out of my high school's software class because I thought my teacher was a dick. But that's pretty much the extent of like, I think I did all the stuff that kids do when they're growing up in terms of tinkering. Like I love Legos. I loved what was that? I loved Age of Empires. I don't know if that's exactly tinkering. There's did you ever do this? I think it was Sierra had the software where it was like the Incredible Machine, something like that. You basically had these Rube Goldberg machines that you had to put together to like accomplish task. So it'd be like get the mouse to his cheese, and you'd have all these sets of contraptions that you could lay out to get the mouse there. Did you ever do this?
No, that definitely not. But the thing that came to my mind when you were talking about that was Legion of Doom. I
Never
don't
did
know. I
that.
think that it was like a Lego, but like times 100, where you could like construct these space. Anyways,
That's pretty
um,
sick. No, that
yeah.
would be right up my alley, but I didn't do that.
So after, so you studied computer science, right, at Northeastern.
Hmm.
So from I remember back my engineering days that they have an amazing co-op program. So did you get some like hands-on experience there that influenced your later journey, or?
Sure did. I had three very different co-ops. My first co-op was at Charles River Development, which is like a stock trading platform. It was super enterprise. I was like commuting as a sophomore, like dealing with a Boston commute system, which is horrible, to like an office park in a suburb of Boston. And that pretty much taught me I don't want to do anything like that ever again. I was a my first co-op, I was a QA engineer type of thing, and it was fine. I mean, I learned some stuff, but I wouldn't say that it was transformative, except to say I knew I didn't want to do anything like that, which, by the way, is, I think, the selling point of co op. It's more to tell you what you don't want to do than what you do want to do. Um, Next, I was at Novartis, which is an international pharmaceutical. And that was shockingly like kind of an amazing culture. They have a lot of engineering in, at least in the office I was in, that was kind of around building internal tooling for um, researchers to, run their assays and kind of track the performance of all their stuff. And we had a lot of um, independence in like our execution and some good like senior software engineers that were overseeing work. So that was surprisingly positive. Um, and then the third was at Open Mile, which was a trucking startup, basically trying to fit. They were trying to build a platform that made the process of, I think it was less about last mile and more about like, I forgot what the term was, but like longer line shipment, more democratic, I'd say, where they were trying to create a bidding system for people who wanted to truck loads kind of at any distance, cross country or north south or whatever. Um, and I had a lot of like purview there, where I was just kind of a team member and fit in alongside all the full time. Um, so kind of those three, I really gravitated towards Open Mile, which made me know like I want to be in a startup. I love the ability to see the impact of my work quickly, to be the person who's coming to the table with strategy and ideas, and then to have the skills and knowledge to execute on those ideas was also empowering. Um, and I think that really kicked me off for the rest of kind of my time post college.
So where did Ruckus and the Shelf come in? Was that far before all of this?
So Shelf was immediately after. After college, I picked up, moved off to Vegas, which is where the Shelf was based, um, and was working alongside the founders. Were like a, at the time, girlfriend boyfriend couple. They became husband wife later on. I'm still very close with those two, um, but yeah, we were trying to build an influencer like search SaaS product at the time, where how can we basically connect brands with influencers that make sense for the brand. Like if you are Victoria's Secret, you're going to have a very different set of influencers that could make sense as your ambassador versus if you are American Eagle, right? Um, so building that product, they pivoted that kind of later on into more of an agency style play, but they get to use all the SaaS they built kind of during my time there, I think, to accelerate the work and create more value in their offering. But yeah, really, really strong company. And yeah, that was really a great time. From there, Ruckus, that's a secondary ticket marketplace where think StubHub or whatever. You're trying to build a platform that can aggregate tickets from all these external sources, some of them primary, like, you know, Vivid Seats or uh, Ticket Ticketmaster, whatever. Some primary, some secondary, where it's you're pulling from StubHub, you're pulling from SeatGeek, you're pulling from whatever, and some kind of like right at the intersection, there were these things called aggregators, which are basically just massive brokers that buy out all the inventory on the primary and then resell it through aggregator exchanges. So you're getting kind of, sometimes you get better deals. Sometimes the best deals are on the primary. Sometimes the price degrades and the best deals are on the secondary. Sometimes the price is like the best on these aggregators. So ingesting all that data, then creating like dynamic pricing algorithms to create the best pricing ecosystem for those tickets, and then also trying to create a way to show your inventory in the most appealing way and run A/B test. It's a very high volume, low margin ecosystem for the most part, and there's a lot of fraud in the space. So it's kind of a weird. You're dealing with a lot of technical problems on the ticketing side.
Got it. And then you helped the company grow to about 30 people at Ruckus, is that correct? And you were what, their first engineer?
Mm-hmm. Yep. Correct.
And so what did that experience teach you about the difference between building a product and building a company?
Um, what did that teach? What was the difference between building a product versus building a company? I think there's two sides to that answer. The first is I saw there was a lot of turnover. Um, so you didn't get a lot of continuity around people thoughts, whatever. Like there just wasn't a through line. And I think a lot of that had to do with top down leadership approach. So I think I took a lot away from that in terms of how to manage people and maybe more importantly, how not to manage people. Um, and I also saw how you could build amazing product without having an amazing company. Like you one does not have to follow the other. It's probably easier to create amazing product with amazing leadership and company, but they certainly don't have to go hand in hand, which is what I saw there.
And then you spent what 3.5 years as the director of engineering at Morgan and Morgan. So I mean, if I'm not mistaken, that's one of the biggest firms in America, right? So to see, I don't know, like how they spend their marketing budget. What were you observing during that time that I don't know, like planted the seed for what Mean Pug would eventually become?
I think there's like two two offshoots that I pulled from my time there. One is nobody does marketing like Morgan and Morgan, and a big part of that is the risks that they're willing to take. So many lawyers that we talk to aren't willing to run ambitious campaigns because of whatever reason. They don't, because of the expense, because of the risk, because of the way that they view themselves in their practice. Because, and I'm not saying any of these are wrong, but Morgan and Morgan's constantly doubling down on what they're doing. Like they are, John Morgan has a book, or maybe it's not a whole book. He does have a book, but one of his big sayings is grow or die, right? They've lived that through today. Like I mean, I don't think John has to worry about money anymore. I don't think his kids have to worry about money. I don't think his grandkids have to worry about money or their or his grandkids. But he is still always pushing the envelope and holds on to that mindset.
That's fascinating. And was there a single moment at Morgan and Morgan, maybe a campaign you saw, I don't know, a meeting you sat in where you looked at Andrew and said, we could do this better on our own?
No, it's not. First off, I wouldn't say that what we do is doing it better. Like, yes, we have more flexibility because we're a smaller outfit and we come to this with a different lens, but it's not a lot like a lot of our firms are estate planning firms or they are defense or they're, immigration. The strategies that we employed at Morgan aren't relevant in any way to them. So at the end of the day, we're creatives and we're looking to apply creative strategies for our clients, right? Um, so I don't think we had that moment. We kind of both of us. So Andrew was the first paid digital guy at Ruckus. That's where I first met him before Morgan and Morgan. Um, and I think we both saw a lot of opportunity in legal after some time at Morgan and Morgan. Like we could just look around during competitor audits and see kind of like here's the level, right? The vast majority of firms on their marketing are here. Morgan's up here. But the second place guy is still making a lot of money. So there's just a lot of what we saw or kind of thought of as unintelligent money floating around in legal where we knew we could make better use of those marketing dollars.
I mean, that's super interesting. Can you paint a picture of like that gap? Like what were the kind of things that firms were getting wrong outside the industry?
Yeah. I'd say it came down to probably three or four common problems. One would be just completely generic campaigns that had no differentiation, where lawyer A looked like lawyer B looked like lawyer C. Second would be a complete lack of measurement, where it's just let's spend the dollars and see what happens. And three would be like a myopic approach to their marketing, where it's let's just do PPC, let's just do TV. There was very little kind of a combined integrated approach to marketing.
And then when you guys, if I'm not mistaken, you guys are up to like what 30 employees now in just a few years. That's pretty impressive. When you think about what separates you from, I don't know, the dozens of other agencies, let's say that serve law firms, what's the real differentiator beyond branding and the pug?
I can give you the marketing spiel, or I can give you kind of what I think of as I'll give you a combination of some of the things that we don't put in our material and some of the things that we do. So one of the key ones I will disclaim at the outset is likely transient, where we're going to have to think of a solution as we get bigger. Where we're at right now in terms of size, I always say we're like a Goldilocks zone agency where we're not too little, not too big. If we were much bigger, typically bigger agencies have a lack of creativity. They have checklists for everything. Everything is a process. One employee is managing 40, 50, 60 accounts, whatever it is. Um, and those are the pitfalls that you kind of fall into as you get bigger by virtue of being big. Like there's no real way around it. Either you have process or you don't. And if you're big and you have no process, A, I don't know how you got there. But B, good luck not having something major fall through the cracks. So process is just kind of inherent in getting larger. Um, which is why I say, ask me in a couple of years how we figure out that problem as we get bigger. Um, that's a problem with the large. Problem with small typically is the exact opposite. There is no process. Things can be great one day and fall apart the next, which can happen for any number of reasons. And you're typically having generalists doing the work. So there is no specialization at the service level. For us, we are big enough where you've got the right people doing the right things. You've got PPC guys doing PPC, not web design, but we're still small enough that Andrew and I have hired every person in the company. We've vetted every single person that's come through the door. It's not like a middle manager who or an HR who doesn't understand the intricacies of marketing trying to do that vet. We are the ones who are doing it, and we're still active in every account. We're at a size where we can still be very hands-on in the servicing. So that's just a size thing that, like I said, we're going to age out of where we're at right now, but it's kind of like one of those things. What is it? Get the getting while the getting's good. That's what I would say for the time being.
And then you guys start many of your client engagements with like a 35, 40-page brand Bible. Most agencies would probably just jump into running ads. Why do you believe that it's foundational to be taking that approach?
I kind of think the answer is self-answering. Like we do it because the time spent is important time. Most people don't do it because either they don't think that time spent is important time or they're not willing or have the skill set or team members necessary to like execute that part of the process. So for us, we think it's foundational where now you're not trying to, rebuild the wheel every time you onboard a new vendor or you're trying to launch a new campaign. You don't have to rethink through what makes us different, what's our identity, what does our usage look like in various screen sizes or collateral. Like that's a problem that you should solve once, have that as a bedrock, and then you can use it for every time going forward.
So looking, 5 years out, where do you see Mean Pug? Where do you see the legal marketing industry as a whole? And yeah, what's the future that, excites you most?
I'm gonna answer your question with a question. Is your background on the what's your background?
I'm an electrical engineer and I'm an entrepreneur. And I focus mostly on three areas. One is I started India's first Bitcoin exchange 13 years ago, still in business. I also am a director of a company called Humanoid Global here in Canada, which is a public listed company where we invest in humanoid companies. I have an obsession with robotics. I spent 8 years in robots. And then obviously AI is my most people are probably quite obsessed with it, but that's what I do for fun. Tinker
Would you
with
say
all the
you've been
latest stuff.
would
Yeah.
you say you've been active in an industry as it was experiencing like a series of roll-ups and outside money coming in?
Bitcoin count?
Maybe. Like the
Maybe
problem is
not.
AI and Bitcoin are both like the bubble. Obviously, there was a period of time where the hype hadn't caught up yet.
Yeah.
But when you think about those industries, you think about the hype cycle.
Yeah, of course.
And legal feels maybe like Bitcoin in 2000, what was it, 2009 or something, like
Mm.
2010, shortly after the creation, where you didn't yet have the hype cycle. There is a lot of outside capital coming in. people are talking about legal like it's going to be the next dental, where there's MSOs that are kind of in the process of being formed, and some that have been formed. In fact, there's a good number that have been formed where you've got a marketing arm, a like law firm arm that's pushing a lot of the gains into the other arms of the MSO, because you can't be a non-lawyer owner or be a beneficiary of a law firm unless you're an Arizona entity or a DC entity in the US. So you have to figure out ways to get the money to the other arms so that you can reap the profit as these outside investors. And it's just now kind of really taking off. So even though there's been bits and pieces over the past 5-6 years, it feels like it's kind of accelerating, and there's a lot of acquisition going on. So you asked the question, like, what's it going to look like in 5-6 years? I think it's really hard to say, only because the space is certainly consolidating in some ways. You've got big winners like Morgan and Morgan, who are independent and kind of winning, and also in some sense buying up smaller firms and merging with other. They're not really they're really just buying up smaller firms and entities. You've got outside money coming in, which is also rolling up the space. But at the same time, you've got tort reform, which is pushing back in the opposite direction and making kind of the bread and butter of a lot of firms untenable. And also technology, right? Like, as cars get more and more safe, personal injury becomes less and less common as a result of accidents, which deflates that space. So there's like competing forces that are at work.
Awesome. Well, Bobby, yeah, great interview. Thank you for sharing your story. Thank you all for tuning in. And anything else you want to share, Bobby? Or are we good to land this plane?
No, all good. Yeah, find us at meanpug.com, bark at meanpug.com, or call us at 833-MEANPUG.
That is quite the name. I love it. I know both my daughters would get a kick out of it. Okay, I'm going to end the stream. Thank you all for tuning in.